I want to take a moment to thank everyone who took the time to write forums on Lord Brahma's prayers. So far, we've studied now, if you remember back in October, when we first started the third canto, prior to the third canto, we actually studied the first chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, wherein the conversation between Krishna and Brahma was mentioned, because previously last year in the second canto, we read how Sukadev Goswami described this same event, the advent of Brahma, and his penance and austerities, his search for his origin, and then the Lord bestowing his benedictions upon him and speaking the Chatushloki, the core verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. This particular exchange between the Lord and Brahma expands that conversation much more, and we'll describe much more in detail in upcoming chapters how Brahma created or engineered the universe. But as I've been reading these books for almost 50 years now, Lord Brahma's prayers are relevant. He's in the material world. He's got a service to do, and his prayers are extremely relevant how to properly have the right mentality while conducting ourselves here in this world. He's the Adi Guru, the first guru in the line of disciplic succession, hearing directly instructions from the Lord how to act, as we'll read in today's verses. So those devotees that took the time to and meditated on these prayers, thank you very much. Reading your forums and all the different comments, comparisons to other verses and pastimes was really very enlivening. So thank you for that. So now let's go on to the texts as a review for this week, which was the lessons 6 and 7. Again, we're at the end of Lord Brahma's prayers, because last week was Guru Purnima. We didn't have it was Rath Yatra in St. Augustine. We didn't have the Zoom meeting. So our first slide is the end of Lord Brahma's prayers, so that we can review how we're getting to the point that we're going to study this week. So this is from lessons 4 and 5, Lord Brahma's prayers, the ends of them, third canto, chapter 9, texts 24 and 25. The Lord's potencies are innumerable. As he lies down in the water of devastation, I am born as the total universal energy from the navel lake in which the lotus sprouts.
What happened?
Anybody who's not speaking, please mute. I am now engaged in manifesting his diverse energies in the form of the cosmic manifestation. I therefore pray that in the course of my material activities, I may not be deviated from the vibration of the Vedic hymns. The Lord, who is supreme and is the oldest of all, is unlimitedly merciful. I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction upon me by opening his lotus eyes. He can uplift the entire cosmic creation and remove our dejection by kindly speaking his directions. Samapriya, you want to take over and unmute?
Sorry, lots of technical difficulty this morning for me. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome. So glad to see everyone. We were reading these prayers together. They are so profound, and I'm so glad that we're going to be studying them, everyone. And I'm anxious to hear what your realizations are. Okay, we're going to start today with Sesha. How about that? Sesha, can you read for us this verse? Unmute, please. Unmute, Sesha.
Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 9, text number 26. The sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, after observing the source of his appearance, namely the personality of Godhead, Brahma prayed for his mercy as far as his mind and words would permit him. Thus, having prayed, he became silent, as if tired from his activities of penance, knowledge, and mental concentration. Purport of Srila Prabhupada. Brahma's enlightenment in knowledge was due to the Lord sitting within his heart. After being created, Brahma could not ascertain the source of his appearance, but after penance and mental concentration, he could see the source of his birth, and thus he became enlightened through his heart. The spiritual master outside and the spiritual master within are both representatives of the Lord. Unless one has contact with such bona fide representatives, one cannot claim to be a spiritual master. Lord Brahma had no opportunity to take the help of a spiritual master from outside, because at that time, Brahma himself was the only creature in the universe. Therefore, on becoming satisfied by the prayers of Brahma, the Lord enlightened him about everything from within.
Unmute, Sama.
Thank you, Sesha. Are we to discuss this now, Pati, or do you want to wait until we do a few verses?
Whatever you want to do. There's quite a lot in all of this. There's 20 slides.
Okay, but this is the beginning of something wonderful. Sesha, did you want to say anything about this?
No, but just back to the introductory slide that Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu shared with us. I was thinking when he was reading that, how amazing it is that we take it for granted so much what we do in this world and what we may accomplish, and we don't think much about the Supreme Lord, but Lord Brahma, what is being contemplated for him to do is just completely amazing, and his humility and the thought that comes clearly that he could be subject to illusion while doing this work makes us all look so puny and foolish, and when we get very proud about whatever we can do or accomplish, even in terms of devotional service.
Thank you. That's so true. Yeah, we can start relating to Lord Brahma somewhat during these prayers. Thank you, Seshaji. We're going to go on now with Bhadra. Bhadra, can you continue reading? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandvat everybody, Dandvat. Text 3 to 27 and 28. The Lord saw that Brahma was very anxious about the planning and construction of the different planetary systems. It was depressed upon seeing the devastating water. He could understand the intention of Brahma, and thus he spoke in deep, thoughtful words, removing all the illusion that had arisen. Purport. The devastating water was so fearful that even Brahma was perturbed at his appearance and became very anxious about how to situate the different planetary systems in outer space to accommodate the different kinds of living entities, such as the human being, those lower than the human beings, and the superhuman beings. Lord Brahma had to accommodate different places and situations for the requisite bodies of the conditioned souls. The task was meant only for Brahma, and no one in the universe can even understand how difficult it was.
So what does that mean, Bhadra? No one in the universe can understand how difficult it was, and we think we have problems. What do you think?
Because in this case, Brahma was alone. There was nobody there. And he was the only one who had to take up whole this process of secondary creation. And second thing, he was very he was here, this word, important word is mentioned, is he was depressed. And depressed is not in a sense we depressed in the material world. He was here depressed because in the service of the Lord, he was very anxious, and that is good in a sense when we have service and we have things to do, and we are depressed. But depressed in a sense, I was helpless, and
That's good.
he was helpless. Please, Lord, you will have to help me here. What
Help me
should I
perform
do?
my service to you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's perfect. Gopa, did you want to say something? Gopa has her hand raised.
I have a question in reference to what is lower than the human beings? What is Prabhupada saying in this purport? What is lower than the human beings? Is it considered animals, vegetables, or what? Is there human beings that are lower than human beings?
As far as my understanding, there's human beings who are lower, and there's a lot of species that are lower. Who wants to take this question? Patti, you want to deal with this?
Sure. Lord Brahma, as we read previously, the entire population of the universe was situated in Garbhodakshaya's navel. And when Garbhodaksha Vishnu, all those fruitive activities of all the living entities in all the different species of life, the lotus flower was emanated from his navel and appeared, and Brahma was born on the top. Now we'll read in subsequent chapters that everything was in a seedling form. All the different planets and everything were there, but they weren't in proper places, and there were no bodies or planets or circumstances and atmospheres for those living entities. And this is why it was described by Srila Prabhupada that it was so difficult. Brahma arranges everything for everyone. So all the lower species is everyone. All the living entities, bugs, birds, aquatics, moving entities, non-moving entities, all the different living entities and their accommodations are engineered by Brahma. And that's why he was in anxiety. He's seeing this devastating water. He doesn't really know what to do. And he's prayed to the Lord, and now he's stopped. He's still doesn't know what to do. And this is where we are in the narration.
Okay, Gopa.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's go on now with Tisha. Would you like to read?
Yes, thank you, Dee. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this is 3:229. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then said, O Brahma, O depth of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are begging from me has already been granted before. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Any person authorized by either the Lord or by his bona fide representative is already blessed, as is the work entrusted to him. Of course, the person entrusted with such a responsibility should always be aware of his incapability and must always look for the mercy of the Lord for the successful execution of his duty. One should not be puffed up because he is entrusted with certain executive work. Fortunate is he who is so entrusted, and if he is always fixed in the sense of being subordinate to the will of the Supreme, he is sure to come out successful in the discharge of his work.
Unmute again, Sama.
So fortunate is he who is so. Could you bring it back to that the screen again, Patti? The words, read the last sentence again, Tisha.
Okay. Fortunate is he who is so entrusted, and if he is always fixed in the sense of being subordinate to the will of the Supreme, he is sure to come out successful in the discharge of his work.
Okay. So, there's Bhaja with something to say, but I want to ask Tisha, can you explain that, sweetie? to us?
Well, I was going to say what Bhadra had said earlier about Brahma just being helpless, and he needed to take shelter, of Vishnu so that he could create of the Supreme Lord. I think we all can be in that situation with the things we have to do in life, and we should too surrender and have the faith and confidence that the Lord is there to help us.
Very good. That's it. We are identifying in this and throughout these old prayers with Lord Brahma. Of course, we're teeny weeny Brahmas, but he is the head of our line. He is the first created living being. So he is demonstrating a real life demonstration of how to be in this, how to relate to the Lord in everything that we do. Thank you, Tisha. Okay, shall we continue
I thought Bhadra had a question.
Bhadra did have, sorry, Bhadraji. Yes, Bhadra?
No, I don't have a question. It shows, this purport shows Srila Prabhupada himself.
Oh,
When he writing
how is that?
He's showing himself, because that was he did.
Right,
Very nice.
He came with just Srimad first with Harinam and first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to this country. And it's actually the purport, what is he saying is exactly what he's himself as an example, isn't it?
Yes, perfect. And all those other members of the Gaudiya Math and the Gaudiya Sampradaya were stunned by the level of his faith in that order of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said that my name will be heard in every town and village around the world. People didn't really have that much faith in that particular statement, but Srila Prabhupada did. That was wonderful, Bhadra.
Thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth, would you like to continue? Elizabeth?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Elizabeth. Nice to see you here.
Dandavas pranams, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. But his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the plenary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.10.
Right. Okay, leave that for one moment. The mercy comes from penance and perseverance. That's how the mercy of the Lord manifests. What does that mean, Elizabeth?
It means that as we perform this yagya, that for example now the yagya for this era is the chanting of the holy name. We practice devotional service. We serve the servant of the servant, and like that, those are our penances.
Okay, and through that we receive the mercy of the Lord. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Seisha, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I just the illustration on the slide with Vishnu looking up at Brahma gives me a sort of a visual picture of Brahma creating the different planetary systems and environments, but he's doing it under the watchful eye of Vishnu, and clear vision of Vishnu and the watchful eye. Sometimes when we're doing something and somebody's looking over our shoulder, especially our authority or the person who has given us a task to complete, looking over our shoulder can be something that makes us very nervous. I'm doing everything correctly as the person wants. But here, Brahma has that anxiety also. Mahavishnu is looking over what he's doing very carefully, seeing every action, and he has to be careful to get it just right.
He has to be careful, but also, don't you think it's he's not being threatened by it. He's totally dependent, and there is an exchange of deep love between Brahma and Lord Vishnu. It's not that sometimes by the time it comes down to the material world, when we are engaged in some service and someone's looking over our shoulder, that could be cause for great nervousness and debilitating sometimes. But in this relationship between Brahma and Lord Vishnu, it seems to me it's based on encouraging him. When you think, okay, first, let me just ask Sesha what he thinks, and then Bhaja, he also wants to say. Could you say, Seshaji?
Yes, encouraging. I guess that's the answer. It's not a material kind of exchange.
Right.
The Lord is always reassuring and confident and telling us to depend upon Him, as we find Vishnu saying here throughout these verses.
Yeah, so it gives you so much hope and faith, really. Bhajaji, would you like to? Thank you, Sesha. Bhaja?
If I'm wrong, please correct me. Actually, Lord is watching after him, but Brahma is within the heart, he is seeing the Lord, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He went down to the bottom of the lotus stem. He couldn't find. Then there was an instruction within your heart. Here, by these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. The heart is being referred to all throughout these prayers. And how do we get to our hearts? How do we really know that what we're seeing is Krishna? So that means we have to purify ourselves by chanting and hearing. That's the only way we can trust our own heart. You see?
He's also, it's also been described that he saw himself and the Lord, just as we're seeing in this image, within himself.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think
because,
there was another
he
hand.
was so...
Gopa Patni also raised her hand.
Gopa, did you want to say something again? Or is that just the same hand?
I'm sorry, it's the same hand. I forgot to take it down.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
This is encouraging to me. Oh, there's Elizabeth also wants to say something, but it's very encouraging, this reference to the Lord and all this knowledge being revealed in the heart. But of course, we have to know the way to get to the heart by hearing from the pure devotee and chanting the holy name. Elizabeth?
Yes, Mataji, I was thinking that it is we have this anxiety when we want to control ourselves. If we remember that Krishna is in control, he's the supreme controller, and that, for example, I had to change my plane tickets 3 times now because I'm trying to go see Guru Maharaj in Atlanta. And so somebody knew that I had to be changing my plane ticket, and they said, "Oh, what a bummer! It must be so much anxiety." And I really had no anxiety. I was like, "Well, Krishna is going to control this, and this is going to be how it's going to be, and what happens is going to happen." So you think Guru's desired and Krishna's desired, and you dovetail your heart to that, then the anxiety reduces. If we want to control, the anxiety is very high.
Very good. Thank you. That's very true. Thank you. Okay, let's go on with Madhurya. Madhurya Leela, G, would you like to read?
Sure. Harbo.
Oh.
So this is Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.31. O Brahma, when you are absorbed in devotion service, in the course of your creative activities, you will see me in you and throughout the universe, and you will see that you yourself, the universe, and the living entities are all in me. Prabhupada's purport. It is cited herein by the Lord that during his daytime, Brahma would see him as Lord Sri Krishna. He would appreciate how the Lord expanded himself into all the calves during his childhood at Vrindavan. He would know how Yashoda Mai saw all the universes and planetary systems within the mouth of Krishna during his playful childhood pastimes. And he would also see that there are many millions of Brahmas during the appearance of Lord Krishna in Brahma's daytime. But all these manifestations of the Lord, appearing everywhere in his eternal transcendental forms, cannot be understood by anyone but the pure devotees, who are always engaged in devotional service to the Lord and are fully absorbed in the Lord. The high qualifications of Brahma are also indicated herein.
Thank you, Victoria. What do you think that means?
Well, only the devotees can understand by devotional service, anything about Krishna. So Brahma had the devotion and he got the understanding.
And why is it that only the devotees can understand?
Because they're not envious, they want to serve him.
Right. They're in their constitutional position of wanting to serve. Thank you. That's very important to know. Okay, now we're going to go on, unless anybody else has some. Oh, Bajaji, yes?
So this is the Yogamaya potency is working on Yogamaya, right? Not Mahamaya.
In those descriptions, it was Yogamaya, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think Lord Brahma is manifesting Maya, Mahamaya. His the whole work that he's doing has to do with Mahamaya, but those references were in relation to Maha.
Then Brahma Vivahan Lila is also Yogamaya potency working on Brahma, isn't it? Not Mahamaya.
That's what Pati, is that correct? I
Yes.
think so.
Yeah.
Of course.
As a matter of fact, it's interesting to know that it's actually must be Prabhupada's commentary here, Vishwanath Chakrabarti probably commenting that this statement by Vishnu that you will see me, and then he takes it and explains that this means he'll see him during his pastimes, is a far out expansion, because when Brahma actually stole the cows and the cowherd boys, you remember he came back and Krishna revealed to him this an unbelievable scene that even bewildered Brahma when he saw it, even though he knew this. It was so overwhelmingly Yoga-mayic that it was a beautiful revelation for him as well, and part of that unlimited evolving relationship that everybody has with the Lord.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. How about Anita? Would you like to read, Anita?
Jai, Srimad Bhagavad 3.8.32. You will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in the wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Brahma prayed that he might not forget his eternal relationship with the Lord during the course of his material activities. In answer to that prayer, the Lord said that he should not think of existing without a relationship with his omnipotency.
Go on.
Purport. The example is given of the fire in the wood. The fire kindled in wood is always the same, although the wood may be of different types. Similarly, the bodies within the material creation may be specifically different according to shape and quality, but the spirit souls within them are not different from one another. The quality of fire, warmth, is the same everywhere, and the spiritual spark, a part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, is the same in every living being. Thus, the potency of the Lord is distributed all over his creation. This transcendental knowledge alone can save one from the contamination of material illusion. Since the Lord's potency is distributed everywhere, a pure soul or devotee of the Lord can see everything in relationship with the Lord, and therefore he has no affection for the outer turbulence. That pure spiritual conception makes him immune to all contamination of material association. The pure devotee never forgets the touch of the Lord in all circumstances.
Okay, so we see in this, Pachi, we see the same sentence twice. Prabhupada said in the beginning here, he said, everything should be seen in relationship with the Lord. So that sounds like the solution to all problems. If we can learn to see everything in relation to the Lord, then what happens to our hearts? What happens, Anita? If we really can see everything in relation to our hearts, what is our mood?
So, then we become the devotion gives that transcendental vision, So, because if we are surrendering ourselves to God, so He gives us like a divine vision that so you can see, just like the earlier somebody mentioned about Brahma Vimol Leela, right? Right. So he was able to see all Brahma that. Lord has expanded like a different gopas and a different
Okay. But what happens to the heart
Your
when we're
heart-
able to see that? What is the one thing that we must actually be in the mood of to be able to see?
to pure heart. Your heart should be pure.
Right. In other words, surrendered to the will of the Lord.
Right, that's true.
Right. Surrender. And how do we know that will? We have to hear from the spiritual master.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is our duty as devotees, to recognize Krishna's will all around us and to make our will aligned with that.
So like the
Right?
different, like the 9 ways, Shravan, Kirtan, Manan, Chintan and all that, the different ways. So
right.
that
The
way,
9 ways.
then we can clean our heart.
Right. Very good. Thank you, Anita. Bajra wanted to say something. Thank you very much, Anita G. Bajra, did you want to say something? And then Gopal will continue with your reading.
We are not seeing the Lord everywhere. That is our problem. That's my problem. It's Maya. It's Maya. When you see the Lord, there in relation to everybody, there is no Maya. That's the problem.
Right. We actually see ourselves everywhere. Yeah. Right. We see ourselves. That's the Maya. We see ourselves. We see this is happiness for me. This is not happiness for me. I'm going to arrange this so this will be nice for me. I mean, the whole thing is penance. If we want the mercy of the Lord, we've been reading it back and forth, penance and perseverance. And we have to be persevering. That means conducting ourselves with determination to continue on this path, because penance is not natural for the conditioned soul. Nobody likes to work.
What does penance actually mean?
Okay, who wants to answer that? What is penance? What does
sacrifice?
That's good.
It means to do something that you don't really want to do. It's bending your will to a higher purpose.
Austerity.
Austerity. Good. Penance.
Before we go on also, this verse 32 corresponds very nicely with the second of the Chatur Shloki. And I'm not going to tell anybody what it is. I want somebody to look it up and share with us what it is while I speak here. The Lord is saying, you will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be freed from all kinds of illusion. So what is the second verse of the Chatur Shloki and how does it relate to this verse?
Someone. Come on, someone has to know.
Second verse is the Etam Matam Samatishta Parame Samadhina Bhavan Kalpa Vikalpeshu Navamuiti Karpichit. O Brahma, just follow the fixed concentration of the mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation.
That's not the second verse of the Chaturshloki. Sorry.
Here we go. Here we go. How'd you
Somebody
read
has it? I got to look it up.
But we're looking at
Everybody can watch me do my research.
okay.
What do we got? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the
2934.
There you go, right here.
Okay, read that, Betsy.
Okay, now let somebody else read it because.
Okay, somebody else read it.
O
Who would like to
Brahma,
read this?
Go ahead,
Haribol.
Chaitamai.
O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relationship to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness.
Now the verse we're reading today.
Read that.
You will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion.
Again?
O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality.
Oh.
Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness.
So does everybody kind of see how those two correlate? He's explaining very clearly that I'm in everything, I'm everywhere. And you have to see that and recognize it. Anything that you see that isn't connected in that way is an illusion. It's like a reflection in darkness. It's not a reality, it's a reflection. It's not the
And
real thing.
That also can be not that we are visualizing Krishna, which is the highest state of consciousness, visualizing Krishna everywhere, but the desire of Krishna also, the desire of Krishna. We want to be in line with the desire of Krishna, see the relationship with everything in relation to Krishna.
Actually, the
Right.
purport gives a very nice example that no matter what type of wood or what type of fuel the heat is in, the heat is the same. It might be a big piece of wood, it might be a little stick, but the heat is the same. So he's saying here that, oh, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah.
That the fire kindled in wood is always the same, although the wood may be of different types. So the idea is that the heat in the wood is always the same. So the Lord is always present in everything, no matter what material manifestation it might take because of the modes of material nature and the elements of the world. Still, one has to look deeper to see the Lord's presence and understand it in whatever's happening.
Okay. Okie doke. Let's go on with, thank you. Is everybody clear on that? Very important point. We're going to go on with Manvantara. Can you read this?
Text
Manvantara?
Text
There you go.
33. When you are free from the conception of gross and subtle bodies, and when your senses are free from all influences of the modes of material nature, you will realize your pure form in my association. At that time, you will be situated in pure consciousness. Purport. The service attitude is the sarup, or real form of the living entity. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also confirms this statement by declaring that the real spiritual form of the living entity is eternal servitorship to the Supreme Lord.
Go on. Go on, Manvantara.
In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. The Lord is swarat, or fully independent, and the servant is also fully independent, or surat. In the spiritual atmosphere, because there is no force service. There, the transcendental loving service is due to spontaneous love A reflected glimpse of such service is experienced in the service of the mother unto the son, the friend's service unto the friend, or the wife's service unto the husband. These reflections of service by friends, parents, or wives are not forced, but are due only to love. Here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. The real service, or service in Sarup, is present in the transcendental world in association with the Lord. The very same service in transcendental love can be practiced in devotion here.
So this service attitude is the real form of the living entity. Can you explain that a little?
Yes, you did it excellent. I bow to what you said. It's excellent.
What did I say?
Because it was said earlier, because the constitutional position of the living entity is in service. And when you love spontaneously and in true endeavor, like loving purely, then your actions are spontaneous and
it's your real form. It's who you really are, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay, one more thing. I want to ask Manvantara, what does it mean, forced service? Forced service. I mean, it's
slavery, right?
What?
That's slavery. Forced service. That's a material destination. That's a material thing, right?
Right.
But it's not forced. Nothing is forced in real love.
Right. That's the difference, right? It's not, and when we're talking about Lord Vishnu watching over Brahma, he wasn't watching over Brahma like a dictator was forcing him to do this. But it was through loving relation that Brahma wants to do this to please him, and that the Lord is so excited that Brahma wants to engage in this service too. So it was a real exchange of love. So that's the kind of service that we want. We don't want this, everybody or steer in a negative way. Because when service is there, when loving service is there, you forget that it's austere. It's a spontaneous joy in the heart that you want to serve. That's wonderful. This is our attitude. This should be our attitude with each other. Definitely, we should encourage each other to embrace this divine relationship with Krishna that's based on love. And then we serve. So this is very exciting. Thank you, Manvantaraji.
Before we go on, I wanted to bring up something that caught my attention in the purport. It's more of, rather than a statement, it's a question. Here he says that a reflected glimpse of such service is expressed in the service of a mother to a son, a friend's service to a friend, and the wife's service unto a husband. These reflections of service by friends, parents, and wives are not forced, but due only to love. So he's making a point of a principle. Then he says, here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. How deep does that go? Because everybody, I know a lot of people that are dedicating a lot of their love to their family in Krishna consciousness. They're trying to bring up their kids as devotees and their grandchildren and everything like that. How deep does that reflection go? That here in this material world, however, the loving service is only a reflection. The real service, or the Swarup, is present in the transcendental world. So does that mean that the service has to be directly to Krishna? Or can we also be in transcendence, not dovetailing, but actually be in transcendence through this sentiment of service to anyone else other than Krishna as his devotees?
Okay, I want to respond to this first, and then everyone else. This is a good question. Well, my understanding is that when we engage in something and we have an ulterior motive, It's not pure devotional service. We have an ulterior motive. I want my child to be the best. My child is the best devotee, or my grandchild. But if we do it with a service attitude to please Krishna, if everything is to please Krishna, then I think that it doesn't matter what service we do. We could be examples for our family. What do you think, Seshaji?
Well, in the verses and purports, and even way back to the second verse of the chapter Sloki that was quoted, everything is being judged or determined in terms of the relationship, seeing it in relationship with the Supreme Lord. So same standard, I assume, would be used to judge how deep that true swoop or true service goes. And it would go basically depending on how much one sees it in relation to Krishna, sees one's circumstances in life in relation to Krishna.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Chaita, do you want to say something?
Yes. I was thinking of that verse from the Adi Purana, which says that if one wants to be a devotee, they must be a devotee of my devotee.
And
So
what is that in reference to, though? What is that in reference to?
That's in reference to wanting to serve Lord Krishna himself. We do it directly, but we also do it indirectly through serving his all of his devotees, and that would answer.
Starting with which devotee, though?
The pure devotees.
The
pure devotees.
Our spiritual master.
Okay.
A devotee of my devotee means that, and of course, if you love someone, there's a natural service attitude that develops. But when that verse, as far as my understanding, is dasanu dasanu dasa, means the whole line of disciplic succession.
Okay.
That keeps us straight and forward. We know, and not that we shouldn't develop a service attitude toward other devotees. We must. But first, we can't do that unless we develop a service attitude toward the spiritual master.
Okay, thank you.
That teaches us how to serve, and who to serve, and why to serve. I don't know.
Thank
Is
you.
that okay, Sesha? What do you think about that statement? Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay, I got the Sesha stamp, then I'm cool. Thank you, Sesha. All right, shall we go on now with, okay. There's two questions I have. First we'll have Ishopanishad Dasi, who I think is a newcomer here. I haven't seen her. Ishopanishad Dasi.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Pranam.
Where are you?
I'm in Ohio, right outside of Cleveland, in Akron.
Okay.
And I'm a disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Swami.
How wonderful. Well, you got good credentials there.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Why don't you read this for us, Ishopanishad?
Okay. Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time. You are the original Rishi. 1 second here, I just lost the page here. Let me just go back. You are the original Rishi, and because your mind is always fixed on me, even though you will be engaged in generating various progeny, the vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. Purport. The same assurance is given to Brahma in the second canto, chapter 9, verse 36. Being so favored by the Lord, Brahma's schemes and plans are all infallible. If sometimes Brahma is seen to be bewildered, as in the 10th canto, he is bewildered by seeing the action of the internal potency. That is also for his further advancement in transcendental service. Arjuna is found to be similarly bewildered All such bewilderment of the pure devotees of the Lord is specifically meant for their further advancement in knowledge of the Lord.
Very good. Thank you. Can you
That
say something
confirms
about
Bhadra's question.
Vajra?
But go ahead, Ishopanishad.
Jai.
Well, wait a minute. But before you start, what does that mean? What do you mean?
I'm just saying
Vajra's question?
Bhadra's question early was, is the Vimohan Leela the internal potency? This purport
right.
confirms that it is.
Okay. Thank you. Good. Okay, Ishopanishad, what do you got to say?
Don't have anything to say right now.
Okay. I guess Prabhupada and Lord Brahma and Krishna have said it all, right?
Jai, Prabhu. I'm just right now I'm in the listening mode.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Because we just brought it up, I have it on my computer. He's referring to the same assurances given to Brahma in 2nd Canto, Chapter 9, verse 36.
Verse 36, right.
Oh, here we go. Here it is. Read this, Ishopanishad. Oh,
okay.
36.
Verse 36. Okay.
There it is.
Jai.
We're getting there. Okay.
Okay. A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly.
Well, that covers it. That covers about everything. Okay. So that's what we do. That is the perfect. You see, no one can say it better than Krishna. That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. In all time, all circumstances, directly and indirectly. If we're not doing that, Maya is attacking.
Jai.
Madhurya first and then Chaita. Madhurya?
I had a question about, it says here that Lord Brahma will not be affected by the mode of passion.
Vicious.
Yeah, which is mode of passion. So I just wanted to know how that relates to the time that he did experience that in relation to his daughter.
Actually, I just read that because I'm ahead in the texts, and there was a purpose behind it. It was to create fog and darkness of fog. So when we get to that, we'll go over it further. But Srila Prabhupada's points out in those purports, that whole Leela, that because Brahma is such an important entity, already benedicted by the Lord that he won't be bewildered, there must be a purpose behind it. And one has to see that rather than thinking he was bewildered by the mode of passion.
That's also very significant, because sometimes we're suffering, we don't understand why we're going through this. We always have to know that there's if we're devotees, surrendered to Krishna, there is a purpose behind our misery and grief, even.
What was that example that you gave yesterday of pulling somebody out of the way?
Oh, and this happened in real life. There was I gave an example to my daughter, actually, that sometimes, let's say you're walking down the street and you're walking into the street and somebody just pushes you, where the cars come, somebody pushes you down on the ground, and hurts you. And then all of a sudden a big, huge truck passes by. So that's kind of like the same thing that's happening with us with Krishna. He is protecting us, and he's, we're already giving our hearts. We want to be devotees. We want to be elevated. Even people who don't want to be elevated, Krishna is always protecting and guiding. And then in the afternoon, we went to we went for a little walk, and the same. I didn't even tell my husband about this this example I gave, and he pushes me out of the way, and there's a big truck came. It was like a real life experience. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Chaita wanted to say something about this.
Yeah, I just had a question about the final line in that the verse, which says, the vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. So does that refer to, in the mode of passion, thinking that we are the doer? Or, how is mode of passion vicious?
Oh, that's good, because when we think that we're the doer, we're not seeing everything in relation to Krishna, are we?
Right.
Right? What do you think? And Pati, you have something else to say about that?
Usually isn't one of the symptoms of the mode of passion are described in Bhagavad Gita. It brings distress. It's usually the desire for the fruits of the labor.
Okay.
Is an influence for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That gives up our service attitude. We're doing it for Krishna, but then when passion gets in, we're actually doing it for our own sense gratification. That's confusing. Okay. Let's go on with, I think, is Ian still here? Ian joined us and now I don't see him anymore. Are you here, Ian? Yes, you are.
I'm still here.
Hare
Hello, everybody.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Could you read this for us?
Oh, text 36?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so although I'm not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted or of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. Purport. Knowledge of the supreme absolute truth does not necessitate negation of the material manifestation, but understanding of spiritual existence as it is. To think that because material existence is realized in forms, therefore spiritual existence must be formless is only a negative material conception of spirit. The real spiritual conception is that spiritual form is not material form. Brahma appreciated the eternal form of the Lord in that way, and the personality of Godhead approved of Brahma's spiritual conception. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna condemned the material conception of his body, a conception that arises because he is apparently present like a man. The Lord may appear in any of his many spiritual forms, but he is not materially composed, nor has he any difference between body and self. That is the way of conceiving the spiritual form of the Lord.
Okay. Okay. Do you have something to add to this? I see I'm talking to okay, go on, sweetie. Go on.
So in a sense, when the Lord appears in human form, even though he engages in what one would say superhuman activities, a lot of persons still think that he is human.
Yeah, but he isn't. He is not an ordinary living being.
No, right.
No,
So,
he's not.
yes.
So we have to think like that, realize that Krishna is not ordinary, and that solves a lot of problems. Why isn't Krishna relating to me the way I can understand him? Da, 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 and all of our complaints. He is not ordinary. There's certain ways to contact him, right?
Yeah.
And what's the best way to contact him in this day and age? Make my day
By
now.
chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra?
Okay, very easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
Because the Lord and his name are non-different. So therefore, that's the way he comes. That's his mercy. And the penance and perseverance that it requires to chant, that penance of chanting, the Lord gives the mercy. The mercy is that you're chanting. That's the mercy.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Ian.
There's another important point here. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chamedivyam evam yoviti tatvataha taktva deham punar janma naiti mam eti swarjuna. That if one knows the transcendental nature, divyam, janma karma chamedivyam, divyam means transcendental, of janma is birth, karma activities, janma karma chamedivyam, then that person, naiti mam eti swarjuna, doesn't take birth again. Here he's elaborating that that's why Brahma knows him. Although I'm not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 growth and subtle elements, but he is a person and he has a form. Prabhupada points out here so beautifully, to think that because material existence is realized in forms, therefore, spiritual existence must be formless is only a negative material conception of spirit. So many people have this. idea unless it's corrected, that because it's not material, it must not have form, is an illusion. Spirit has form. And that's one of the points that's being brought up. That's why Brahma knows him.
Wonderful. You know, just one more thing in relation to that. It's very good exercise while we're chanting to contemplate. Of course, we all know that we're not this body, and that might be easy. We're not the body, but we're also not the mind. And just to understand, it does something different to you when you really contemplate, because we hear that Lord Brahma is contemplating. He's meditating and contemplating. That was the source, that was beginning before the prayers, before Krishna speaks. It was stated that he is contemplating this. So if we contemplate that we are not the body, that we are not the mind, that things that are going on in this world really have nothing to do with us, and we're chanting the holy name and Krishna is there, so we will get realization. Most of our problems come because we think we're the body. Okay, let's go on with Chaita Mai. Could you read this for us? Thank you so much, Ian. Chaita? Unmute yourself, darling.
Okay, there we go. Thank you for your patience. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:9-37. The Lord continued speaking to Brahma. When you were contemplating whether there was a source to the stem of the lotus of your birth, and you even entered into that stem, you could not trace out anything. But at that time, I manifested my form from within. Purport. Only by love of God can one know God, and not otherwise. The personality of Godhead cannot be seen with the material eyes, but he can be seen from within by spiritual eyes, opened by the ointment of love of Godhead. As long as one's spiritual eyes are closed due to the dirty covering of matter, one cannot see the Lord. But when the dirt is removed by the process of devotional service, one can see the Lord without a doubt. Brahma's personal endeavor to see the root of the lotus pipe failed. But when the Lord was satisfied by his penance and devotion, he revealed himself from within with no external endeavor.
Isn't that all the answers?
Wow. So he sees our efforts, and he responds that way. But we just like Brahma, we can't expect that we're going to be doing this all on our own. Our own endeavors are just ultimately failures, because in other words, we have no worth, we have no value unless we are connected to and working for Krishna,
right,
in love.
Good. Let's think that we're worthless, although that's the humility of a devotee. We are worth something as servants of Krishna, because actually we're here for his pleasure. And that's worth something. That's worth something, even though it's inconceivable that we would give any pleasure to Krishna. But he actually wants to have a relationship with us. So thank you, Chaita. All of these things are so deep. We could go on like eternally discussing any verse and even any sentence of the purport. But now we're going to go on again with Seisha. Could you read again? You know what I'm going to do, because it seems like I'm being slow again, having everyone speak, and we're having some nice discussions. We're going to speed it up a little because we want to finish this. So Seisha, why don't you read?
Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 9, text number 38. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, The Lord helps the devotee in so many ways as the Chaita Guru, or the spiritual master within, and thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. By the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. Such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualifications, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Material acquisitions of wealth or education are not considered.
Okay, I really want to speak about this, but we have to move on. We're not going to speak about it, but I get it's a great verse in purport. Can we just speak about this one thing? Okay, we're not going to. There you go. Bhaja, you read the next one. I have to follow the boss. I can talk about everything, but just those three things: prayers, penance, and faith. It's just so wonderful. Okay, I think, Pati, you're being paged.
No, Guru Maharaj is the example.
Oh, yes.
He's materially unqualified, but he got the mercy of the Lord. He could speak glorious prayers.
Oh, how wonderful.
Very nice.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you, Sage. Bhaja, read this, please.
Thank you. Haribol. Text 39. I'm very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and those in his line of disciple succession always desire that the Lord be known all over the universe by each and every one of the living entities. Srila Prabhupada. That desire of the devotee is always blessed by the Lord. The pure devotees of the Lord are always most dear to him, although he is always kind and merciful to all living entities. Yet the word Gunamayam is significant because it indicates the Lord is possessing transcendental qualities.
Thank you. Okay, next, Tisha, could you read this?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:9-40. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. Jai. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. Such prayers can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord in his service. The Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but he cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth?
Yes, Mataji.
You want to read this?
Yes, Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:9-41. It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. The secret of success is known to the devotee of the Lord, as exemplified by Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a good non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsman. But when he understood that Krishna wanted the fight and had arranged it at Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord by one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it might be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time.
Hare Krishna. That's true. Madhurya, you want to read the next one? Leela?
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.42. I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. That's her part. When a person does not know that the Lord is the only dearmost object, then he is in the conditioned state of life. And when one knows perfectly well that the Lord is the only dearmost object, he is considered to be liberated. There are degrees of knowing one's relationship with the Lord, depending on the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. Did you want me to go on?
Go on. Yeah.
The real reason is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:7. Mamaivam sho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma, and the Lord is called the Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman, and the Lord is called Para-Brahman, or the Parameshwar, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have self-realization accept the material body as the dearmost. The idea of the dearmost is then spread all over the body, both concentrated and extended. The attachment for one's own body and its extensions, like children and relatives, is actually developed on the basis of the real living entity. As soon as the real living entity is out of the body, even the body of the most dear son is no longer attractive. Therefore, the living spark or eternal part of the Supreme is the real basis of affection and not the body. Because the living entities are also parts of the whole living entity, that Supreme Being is the factual basis of perfect affection. In the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Personality Godhead. The word kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. It is just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love.
Wow. Okay. We're almost finished now.
We can discuss that a little bit if you want to, Sam.
Okay. The principle of love. Attachment to the principle of love. This is the crux of it. This makes it not forced. This is the essence of it. We all want love, and that's the object of our Krishna consciousness, the principle of love. Anyone have something to say about that?
Well, love is really shown in relation to the Lord rather than the family. If we love the Lord, then naturally it'll reflect in our family as well and won't be superficial.
Right. Because he is the source of all love. Krishna is the source of all love. He's the only love that will satisfy the soul. Here we go. Read that.
Yeah,
Read that, Binduria.
People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. Yeah, so if you're attached to Krishna and love him, then you're not loving your family's body, you're loving their soul. So you're doing everything to help them with their Krishna consciousness, the devotion service.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we neglect people who are close to us, but we have to really remember and realize how to relate to them spiritually, not based on the body. Thank you. Okay, we have two more verses, and one doesn't have a purport. Gopal, could you finish up for us? Thank you, Madhurya ji, and then we'll have a little discussion at the end.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.43. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before, by dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything.
Come on.
3944. The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand, the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead in his personal form as Narayan, disappeared. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Before his activity in creating the universe, Brahma saw the Lord. That is the explanation of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. When the creation awaited Brahma's activity, Brahma saw the Lord, and therefore the Lord existed in his personal form before the creation. His eternal form is not created by the attempt of Brahma, as imagined by less intelligent men. The personality of Godhead appeared as he is before Brahma, and he disappeared from him in the same form, which is not materially tinged.
And we know where is this happening, Gopa? Where is this happening? All of this.
What, Brahma on the lotus flower looking at
and seeing Krishna. Where is this conversation going on? Within the heart. Within the heart. Within the heart. Okay, well that's it for now. Let's have a little conversation about this. If anybody has any questions or comments about this very profound and wonderful section, Lord Brahma's prayers and Krishna's response to them.
I have a question.
Okay, Seshaji.
One of the verses that Mataji just read said that it indicated that as before. So just an orientation question. Are we talking about at the beginning of the universe? When there's a new Brahma and a new universe? Are we talking about every day?
This is a new kalpa of Lord Brahma. It's not the original creation of the Mahatattva. It's a new day of Brahma. So he's saying as before means as in previous days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really hard to figure out the time sequence of Lord Brahma.
Right.
It's really hard. Anyone else? Haribol. Anyone else have something? Bajaji?
In one of these verses, it is said that you will be not affected by the passion, right? It's said.
Yeah.
But then passion is required for the creation. We said the creation, passion, and the goodness is the maintenance, and annihilation is the mode of ignorance. So how is this? Is this passion is related to the
in that particular
passion
verse?
in the transcendental.
Yeah, in that particular verse,
passion.
there was an adjective saying the vicious mode of passion. Of course, he has to use the mode of passion to create. That's its feature. But the point that Krishna was making, or that Vishnu was benedicting him, that he wouldn't be influenced by the viciousness, the selfishness, the desire for fruitive endeavor,
right.
all those different contaminations of the mode of passion in the heart.
Good. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay, Bajaji? Yeah, that you described it perfectly. Yeah,
I have a question.
Oh, Madhurya?
Remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the sequence, the time sequence. You were going to look it up. Did you happen to?
I did look it up and there was no comment on it. So I can't guess. We were talking about Brahma's 100 years, 1,000 years, how long everything took place in the very beginning of his meditations when he was sitting on the lotus flower. In one of the statements, it said it was 100 years of his time, which would indicate it was his whole life. No, there was no comment on it.
Okay, thanks.
It was actually translated a little bit differently by Banu Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada translated it this way, so no comment.
You know, if we could figure out what is actually being presented, then all the other questions would be answered, I think. You know, if we could understand and surrender to the knowledge that we've been given, these other questions will fall into place. It will be answered, I think. That's my understanding.
Even if it's not answered, like you spoke before, Brahma is contemplating. The instruction by Vishnu to Brahma was to contemplate, perform penance, meditate. So these questions and answers are important. It's not that we just let them go, and to the extent we can understand, or that they're commented upon, we can understand, rather than speculating. But most of the information is there.
And also this other one, prayers, penance, and faith. With I think Sesha referred back to that one. Prayers, penance, and faith. That is the cause, and then it equals the causeless mercy of the Lord. I thought that was a wonderful, wonderful verse. Prayers, perseverance, penance, and faith. That's the mercy of the Lord. You know? So
What penance is
yes,
that
Chaitaji.
I was
wait a minute.
really liking text 40 saying, any human being who prays like Brahma and worships me shall soon be blessed, for I am the Lord of all benediction. So I'm thinking these prayers are a template for us. When we are doing our work, we need to keep the love in the first place, love for Krishna, and stop thinking that we are responsible for our work. That is, as Dhruva was saying, that's where the passion creeps in, and it's good to know, to be able to see it for what it is and say, uh-oh, I'm thinking I'm the doer.
Good.
That's discrimination that I need to develop.
Yeah, very, very good. Sesha, did you want to say something else?
Just wonder, what kind of penance are we asked to perform? What qualifies as penance in our daily activities?
What qualifies as penance? Well, we were discussing that. And penance is, I think, it's relative, but certainly because what is easy for one would not be easy for another. But the penance of chanting and following the principles and performing our service to Krishna, and dedicating our lives to the activities in Krishna consciousness, that's actually penance. Things that are not so convenient that we take it upon ourselves to do, that the rest of the world isn't doing. We're spending our whole day trying to serve Krishna. And although penance connotes that it's a difficult thing and we do it for purification, all of that's our penance is the 4 regulated principles. I heard Prabhupada say that once. That's our penance. That's ours. Which is not very much, really, So penance actually means to perform an activity that purifies you. That's not so like the yogis in the Kumbh Mela. You see them sitting in the center, and there's fire all around, and they're transcending the heat. But we chant Hare Krishna. All of the there's so much glories about the holy name, that so many austerities, so many horse sacrifices, so many different things are accomplished just by chanting the holy name. So what is penance to you, Sesha? What do you think is penance?
Well, I asked the question because I don't know, but I'd like your answer. I think
anyone else? Well, no, you tell me. You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I like your answer very much.
Anyone else know what penance is? What's penance, Mama Tara? Penance is getting up and going to the hospital. Okay, that is some kind of penance. Good. Patsy? Oh, he's looking something up.
I did. I found. Did I unmute? Yeah. Here, these instructions by Krishna kind of explain, or by Vishnu first, and then I'll show Krishna's instructions. Show what he's expecting Brahma, what kind of an attitude he should adopt. O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation, and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. It's a formula. situate yourself in penance, do what I say, or follow the instructions, penance and meditation, follow the principles of knowledge, the knowledge that he has revealed through the Vedas, scripture, and thus receive my favor. Then here, the highest devotion is attained. This is from the end of the Brahma Samhita. Similar instructions, the 5 instructions that Krishna gave to Brahma after hearing the Brahma Samhita. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees of the method of constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. This is penance. Following this with slow degrees by a method of constant endeavor for self-realization. That's penance. Constant endeavor for self-realization. Everything is focused on that activity with the help of scriptural evidence, means the Vedas, theistic conduct, the activities of the acharyas and pure devotees, and perseverance in practice, means we have to continue no matter what kind of inconveniences it causes or that come up.
Thank you. Excellent.
Just another point that with that final slide, thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. Now, the second part of Brahma's adventures will come about. So far, we've heard about his birth, his endeavor for his origin, to find his origin, his contemplation, his seeing the Lord, his offering prayers, and the Lord giving him the instruction to create and giving him the benediction that he will be able to do so. That's the end of a section. Now we'll start with the next lesson of Brahma starting to create. It's called Sarga, Visarga. Sarga means the original creation by the Lord, and Visarga means the activities of Brahma in engineering everything that's been arranged for him. Just to follow the storyline of the Srimad Bhagavatam and what we're headed towards next. Sami, you have to unmute.
We're so fortunate to hear the Bhagavatam. Wonderful. That's what I say. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for your association. Prayers, penance, and faith. It's all being given to us. It's, even with we have challenges, just hold on there, perseverance. We're all going to do it. We got the mercy of the whole disciplic succession. We just followed Lord Brahma. That's easy enough, right? Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Please
Very nice to
accept
see
my
everyone
obeisances.
again. Thank
you. Chant to be happy.
Just have a good week. Hello, boy.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.